The Zodiac Killer's reign of terror was as much about psychological warfare as it was about physical violence. He understood the power of fear, of uncertainty, and he wielded it masterfully. His cryptic messages filled with ciphers and riddles were carefully crafted to taunt and torment. He became a phantom, a whisper in the night, always present, always watching, always just out of reach. The letters, often signed with his signature crosshair symbol, became a macabre form of communication, a direct line between the killer and the terrified public. They were published in newspapers, dissected by experts, and debated endlessly by a public desperate to understand the mind of a monster. The ciphers, complex and seemingly unbreakable, became a source of national obsession, a puzzle that captivated amateur sleuths and seasoned cryptographers alike. The Zodiac's ability to evade capture only served to amplify his mystique. He moved like a ghost, disappearing into thin air after each attack, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and mounting fear. The police, despite their best efforts, seemed powerless to stop him. The public, bombarded with news of the killings and the Zodiac's taunting messages, began to lose faith, their sense of security shattered. The Bay Area, once known for its vibrant culture and carefree spirit, was transformed into a landscape of fear. The Zodiac's shadow loomed large, casting a pall over the once bright streets. Parents kept their children close, lovers' lanes stood empty, and a sense of dread permeated the air. The Zodiac had achieved what he craved most control. He had become the puppet master, manipulating the fears of an entire region, holding them captive in a web of his own making. The Zodiac Killer's reign of terror extended far beyond the borders of Northern California. His story, spread by newspapers and television, captivated and terrified a nation grappling with social change and unrest. He became a symbol of the dark underbelly of the American dream, a reminder that even in the midst of peace and prosperity, evil could lurk in the shadows. The Zodiac's crimes tapped into a primal fear, a fear of the unknown, of the unseen predator lurking in the night. He became a boogeyman for a generation, his name whispered in hushed tones around campfires and late-night diner tables. His story became a cautionary tale, a warning about the dangers that lurked in the shadows, a reminder that even in the safety of our homes, we are not always safe. The Zodiac Killer's enduring legacy is one of mystery, fear, and unanswered questions. He became a cultural phenomenon, his story inspiring countless books, films, and documentaries. Amateur sleuths and professional investigators alike continue to pore over the evidence, searching for the missing link, the clue that will finally unmask the man behind the mask. Despite decades of investigation, the Zodiac Killer's true identity remains elusive. The case, officially unsolved, continues to fascinate and frustrate, a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lie hidden in plain sight. The Zodiac's story is a testament to the enduring power of mystery, the allure of the unknown, and the human need to make sense of the senseless. It is a story that continues to haunt us, challenging us to confront the darkness within ourselves and the world around us. The biting December air hung heavy over Lake Herman Road, a secluded stretch of asphalt popular with young couples seeking a moment of privacy. On this night, however, the tranquility of the secluded lane would be shattered, forever marked by a tragedy that would send ripples of fear throughout Northern California. The victims, David Faraday, a young man on the cusp of adulthood, and his sweetheart, Betty Lou Jensen, a bright and bubbly teenager, were simply enjoying each other's company, unaware that their innocent date would be their last. As darkness descended and the winter chill set in, a car slowly approached the couple's parked vehicle. The driver, shrouded in shadow, remained an enigma, his intentions unknown. What transpired next would forever be shrouded in mystery, the details lost to the cold, unforgiving night. Gunshots pierced the quiet, their sharp reports echoing through the stillness, a terrifying intrusion on the couple's peaceful solitude. The sound, a harbinger of death, signaled the beginning of a nightmare that would haunt the community for years to come. The bodies of David and Betty Lou were discovered shortly after, their lives tragically cut short, their futures stolen by an act of senseless violence. The community, once a haven of peace and tranquility, was plunged into a state of shock and disbelief. Fear, like a virus, began to spread, whispering through the streets, casting a dark shadow over the once safe haven. The questions lingered, unanswered, echoing the community's collective grief. Who would commit such a heinous act, and why? The double homicide of David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen sent shockwaves through the community, marking the beginning of a reign of terror that would grip the Bay Area for years to come. The killer, still at large, had vanished into the night, leaving behind a trail of blood and unanswered questions. The investigation, in its infancy, offered little solace, the authorities seemingly as baffled as the public they were sworn to protect. The murders on Lake Herman Road were not just a tragedy, they were a chilling prelude to a reign of terror that was only just beginning. July 4, 1969, terror in Blue Rock Springs Park. Months passed, and the memory of the Lake Herman Road murders, though still painful, began to fade into the background of daily life. The community, slowly healing, tried to move on, clinging to the hope that the violence had ended, that the perpetrator of such a heinous act was gone, brought to justice, or lost to the anonymity of time. But the 4th of July, a day meant for celebration and fireworks, would bring with it a terrifying reminder that the nightmare was far from over. Darlene Ferrin and Mike Mageau, a young couple in love, had chosen the idyllic setting of Blue Rock Springs Park for their Independence Day date. The park, usually alive with the sounds of laughter and celebration, would become the backdrop for another act of senseless violence, a stark reminder that evil can lurk even in the most unexpected of places. As the couple sat in their car, enjoying the warm summer night, a car approached, its headlights momentarily blinding them. Unbeknownst to Darlene and Mike, the driver of this vehicle was not a fellow reveler but a predator, his arrival a harbinger of terror. The figure, his face obscured by darkness, stepped out of his car, approaching their vehicle with an unsettling calmness that belied the violence he was about to unleash. Gunshots, 15 in rapid succession, shattered the night, their deafening roar cutting through the air, replacing the joyful sounds of celebration with the chilling finality of death. Darlene Ferrin, struck multiple times, succumbed to her injuries, another victim claimed by the hand of a faceless killer. Mike Mageau, though seriously wounded, miraculously survived the attack, his memory of that night a chilling tapestry of pain, fear, and the haunting image of the assailant. His testimony would prove invaluable to the investigation, providing the first real description of the man who would soon be known as the Zodiac Killer. The Blue Rock Springs attack sent shockwaves through the community, shattering the fragile sense of security that had begun to return. The similarities to the Lake Herman Road murders were impossible to ignore. Young couples targeted in secluded locations, the brutal efficiency of the attacks, the seeming randomness of the victims. Fear, once again, gripped the Bay Area, whispering on the wind, a constant reminder that a killer walked among them, his motives as murky as his identity. Just 3 weeks after the Blue Rock Springs attack, the killer made contact, not with a personal appearance, a dramatic unveiling of his identity, but with a series of chilling phone calls. The recipients, 3 prominent lawyers, were left shaken, their conversations with the unknown caller a chilling mix of confession and boastful taunting. The voice, calm, measured, devoid of emotion, sent chills down their spines, his words confirming their worst fears. The caller was the perpetrator of the Blue Rock Springs and Lake Herman Road murders, but the horror didn't end there. The calls were followed by a series of even more unsettling communications. Letters, sent to 3 local newspapers, these handwritten missives filled with chilling details of the crimes, were brazen declarations of guilt. a macabre form of self-promotion from a killer who craved recognition as much as he did control. And as if to solidify his newfound notoriety, he signed each letter with a chilling symbol, a circle with a cross extending through it, a mark that would soon be etched into the public consciousness as the chilling calling card of the Zodiac Killer. The letters, beyond their obvious shock value, contained something far more sinister: ciphers. These complex coded messages, the killer claimed, held the key to his identity. He challenged the authorities, the public, anyone brave enough to try to decipher the codes, to unravel the mystery of who he was. The Zodiac Killer, it was becoming increasingly clear, was not content with simply taking lives. He was playing a deadly game, a game of cat and mouse with the authorities and the public, using fear and uncertainty as his weapons of choice. The Zodiac's letters, with their chilling confessions, taunting tone, and cryptic ciphers, sent a chill down the spines of investigators and the public alike. Their arrival marked a turning point in the case, transforming what had been a series of seemingly isolated murders into a full-blown manhunt for a killer who seemed to revel in the terror he was inflicting. The investigation, once hampered by a lack of leads and the seemingly random nature of the attacks, now had a terrifying focus: the capture of the Zodiac Killer. Law enforcement agencies across the Bay Area, working in tandem with the FBI, dedicated their resources to catching the Zodiac. The pressure was immense, the public's fear palpable, the stakes higher than ever. Every lead, no matter how insignificant it seemed, was meticulously followed, every witness painstakingly interviewed, every piece of evidence scrutinized for even the slightest clue that could lead them to the killer. But the Zodiac, true to his moniker, proved to be elusive. He was a phantom, a whisper in the wind, leaving behind a trail of fear and confusion, but precious little in the way of tangible evidence. His cryptic messages, filled with ciphers and riddles, seemed designed to taunt and mislead, to throw investigators off his trail. He was always one step ahead, his movements unpredictable, his motives a chilling enigma. The investigation into the Zodiac Killer's crimes became an all-consuming endeavor, a race against time to stop a killer who seemed to be growing bolder with each passing day. But as the weeks turned into months and the leads ran cold, a chilling realization began to dawn on those tasked with bringing the Zodiac to justice. They were dealing with a criminal mastermind, a cunning adversary who seemed to take perverse pleasure in outwitting them at every turn. The Zodiac Killer's cryptic messages, particularly the ciphers, captivated the nation, transforming the case from a regional manhunt into a national obsession. The ciphers, with their seemingly random arrangement of symbols and letters, became a challenge, a puzzle that drew in amateur sleuths, professional cryptographers, and everyone in between. Newspapers across the country printed the ciphers, their readers poring over them, eager to be the one to crack the code and unmask the killer. The ciphers, far from being random ramblings, were complex puzzles, each symbol, each letter placement carefully considered, designed to both reveal and conceal. They were a window into the mind of a madman, a glimpse into the twisted logic that governed the killer's thoughts and actions. The public, hungry for answers, for any piece of information that could lead to the Zodiac's capture, embraced the challenge, their collective efforts transforming living rooms, classrooms, and even prison cells into makeshift decryption centers. The allure of the ciphers was undeniable. They offered a unique opportunity to actively participate in the case, to pit one's wits against a cunning adversary. The challenge was not just about solving a puzzle, it was about bringing a killer to justice, about restoring a sense of security to a community living in fear. For a brief moment, it seemed as if the entire nation was united in a common goal: to crack the Zodiac's code and unmask the man behind the terror. The response to the Zodiac's challenge was overwhelming. Letters poured into newspaper offices and police stations, each one containing a potential solution, a glimmer of hope in the darkness. Codebreakers, both amateur and professional, spent countless hours analyzing the symbols, searching for patterns, for any clue that could unlock the secrets hidden within the ciphers. The Zodiac Killer, perhaps unwittingly, had created a national phenomenon, a collective effort to solve a puzzle that seemed as complex and enigmatic as the killer himself. The Zodiac's first cipher, a 408-character message sent to the San Francisco Chronicle, presented a formidable challenge. The seemingly random arrangement of symbols and letters defied easy interpretation, frustrating even the most experienced codebreakers. Days turned into weeks, and the cipher remained unbroken. The killer's taunting words, hidden within the code, a constant reminder of the authorities' inability to stop him. But amidst the frustration and dead ends, a glimmer of hope emerged from an unlikely source, a high school history teacher and his wife. Donald and Betty Harden, armed with a keen eye for patterns and an unwavering determination to help bring the Zodiac to justice, dedicated themselves to cracking the code. Working tirelessly in their living room, they meticulously analyzed the cipher, searching for any hint of order within the chaos. After days of painstaking work, a breakthrough. The Hardens, recognizing a pattern within the seemingly random arrangement of symbols, managed to decipher a portion of the message. The news of their success sent a surge of excitement and hope through the investigation. The Zodiac's words, concealed for weeks within the code, were finally revealed, offering a tantalizing glimpse into the mind of a killer. The deciphered message, while chilling in its content, did not reveal the Zodiac's identity as many had hoped. Instead, it contained a rambling, often incoherent message, filled with boasts about the killer's crimes and his desire to collect slaves in the afterlife. But despite the lack of a definitive breakthrough in the case, the Hardens' success in cracking the 408 cipher provided a much-needed morale boost, proving that the Zodiac's codes, while complex, were not unbreakable. The successful decryption of the 408 cipher fueled hopes that the Zodiac's remaining ciphers, particularly the 340-character puzzle he had sent to the San Francisco Chronicle alongside the 408, would soon be solved, leading investigators to his doorstep. The 340 cipher, so named for the number of characters it contained, became the primary focus of the investigation, the key to unlocking the mystery of the Zodiac Killer's identity. Law enforcement agencies working with expert codebreakers from the FBI and NSA dedicated themselves to cracking the 340 cipher. Countless hours were spent analyzing the code, searching for patterns, for any clue that could lead them to the killer. The pressure was immense, the public's demand for answers growing with each passing day. But the 340 cipher, unlike its predecessor, refused to yield its secrets. Years turned into decades, and the 340 cipher remained unbroken, a frustrating symbol of the Zodiac's elusiveness. The killer, it seemed, had outsmarted everyone, his code a testament to his cunning and intelligence. The 340 cipher became a cold case within a cold case, a haunting reminder of the limitations of even the most sophisticated code-breaking techniques when faced with a puzzle designed by a criminal mastermind. The unsolved 340 cipher took on an almost mythical status, its complexity and the killer's taunting claim that it contained his identity solidifying its place in true crime lore. Amateur sleuths, armed with new theories and technologies, continued to work on the cipher, their efforts fueled by a desire for justice, for answers, and for the satisfaction of solving a puzzle that had baffled the best minds for decades. 1. The Shadow of Suspicion, a roster of potential killers. The Zodiac Killer case, much like a spiderweb spun in the darkest corner of a room, ensnared not only its victims, but also a long list of individuals suspected of being the enigmatic figure behind the mask. The combination of high-profile crimes, taunting letters, and cryptic ciphers created a perfect storm of fear and speculation, leading to a multitude of tips, theories, and accusations, some more credible than others. The investigation, already a complex and frustrating endeavor, was further complicated by the sheer volume of potential suspects, each with their own set of circumstances, motives, and connections to the case. The suspects ran the gamut from disgruntled ex-lovers to jealous acquaintances, each name whispered in hushed tones, their lives scrutinized under the harsh glare of public suspicion. Some, fueled by their own notoriety, or a desire to insert themselves into the narrative, confessed to the crimes, their accounts often riddled with inconsistencies and easily debunked by investigators. Others, their lives forever linked to the case by circumstantial evidence or the whispers of rumor, maintained their innocence, their pleas falling on deaf ears in a community desperate for answers. The weight of suspicion, even if ultimately unfounded, could be crushing. Reputations were tarnished, lives upended, and relationships strained under the pressure of constant scrutiny. The Zodiac, it seemed, had cast a long shadow, one that extended far beyond the immediate victims of his crimes, touching the lives of countless individuals connected, however tenuously, to the case. The investigation, burdened by a growing list of potential suspects, became a delicate balancing act. Detectives, tasked with separating fact from fiction, had to carefully navigate a labyrinth of false leads, red herrings, and genuine possibilities, always mindful that the real killer could be lurking among the shadows, watching their every move, waiting for the moment to strike again. Section 2. Arthur Lee Allen, a prime suspect emerges. Amidst the sea of potential Zodiac suspects, one name emerged from the murky depths of speculation, a name that would become synonymous with the case: Arthur Lee Allen. Allen, a former elementary school teacher with a troubled past and a penchant for secrecy, quickly rose to the top of the suspect list, his life and alleged connections to the crimes meticulously scrutinized by investigators and amateur sleuths alike. His profile, a chilling blend of disturbing behavior, circumstantial evidence, and missed opportunities, painted a picture of a man who could very well be the elusive killer. Allen's history was littered with red flags, a fascination with explosives, a history of violence against women, and a disturbing collection of weapons and explosives found in his possession. He had been fired from his teaching job for alleged sexual misconduct with students, his behavior raising alarm bells long before the Zodiac murders began. He was known to frequent the areas where the crimes took place, and witnesses claimed to have seen him wearing clothing similar to that described by survivors of the Zodiac attacks. Perhaps the most damning piece of evidence against Allen was a wristwatch found at one of the crime scenes. The watch, a rare and distinctive model, bore a cryptic inscription that some believed linked it directly to Allen. The inscription, while never definitively deciphered, fueled speculation that Allen was indeed the man behind the mask. Despite the mounting circumstantial evidence, investigators were never able to gather enough concrete proof to definitively link Allen to the Zodiac crimes. Searches of his property yielded intriguing clues, but no smoking gun. Fingerprints collected from the Zodiac's letters did not match Allen's, and DNA evidence analyzed years later failed to provide a conclusive link. Allen, for his part, vehemently denied any involvement in the murders, his alibis often changing, his demeanor shifting between evasiveness and outright hostility. Section 3. Ted Kaczynski, the enigma of the Unabomber. The shadow of suspicion in the Zodiac case fell upon another infamous figure, Ted Kaczynski, better known as the Unabomber. Kaczynski, a reclusive mathematics prodigy turned domestic terrorist, terrorized the nation for nearly 2 decades with a series of mail bombs targeting universities and airlines. His crimes, fueled by a radical anti-technology ideology, bore a chilling resemblance to the Zodiac's modus operandi: the meticulous planning, the cryptic communications, and the desire to instill fear in a seemingly random population. Kaczynski's connection to the Zodiac case, while largely circumstantial, was compelling nonetheless. He had lived in the Bay Area during the time of the Zodiac murders, his movements aligning with some of the attacks. Like the Zodiac, Kaczynski was highly intelligent, capable of crafting complex puzzles and codes, and he shared the Zodiac's fascination with explosives and a desire to control the narrative surrounding his crimes. The possibility that Kaczynski and the Zodiac were one and the same captivated investigators and the public alike. Could this reclusive genius, driven by a warped sense of justice, be the elusive figure who had terrorized the Bay Area decades earlier? The theory, while intriguing, was ultimately dismissed due to a lack of concrete evidence. Kaczynski, for his part, denied any involvement. blurred, their potential to identify the killer diminished. DNA evidence, a cornerstone of modern forensic science, was in its infancy during the Zodiac investigation, its potential unrealized, its absence a frustrating reminder of how far forensic technology has advanced. Witnesses, their memories once vivid and detailed, have struggled to recall the events of that era with the same clarity. Their accounts often contradictory, their recollections clouded by the passage of time and the human tendency to fill in the blanks with assumptions and inferences. Some witnesses, their lives forever marked by their brush with the Zodiac, have passed away, their testimonies lost, their potential to provide crucial insights into the killer's identity gone forever. The Zodiac Killer, it seemed, had benefited not only from his own cunning but also from the unforgiving nature of time. The investigation, once a race against time to stop a killer on a rampage, had become a painstaking exercise in historical reconstruction, a desperate attempt to piece together a shattered narrative from faded memories, incomplete records, and the lingering echoes of fear. The Zodiac Killer, beyond the terror he inflicted and the mystery he cultivated, was a master manipulator, a cunning adversary who seemed to anticipate the investigators' every move. His actions were a calculated blend of audacity and meticulous planning designed to maximize fear and minimize the risk of capture. He was a phantom, a whisper in the wind, his presence felt but never truly grasped. His ability to evade capture was a testament to his intelligence, his understanding of human psychology, and his chilling ability to blend into the background of everyday life. The Zodiac's choice of victims, while seemingly random, was likely a deliberate strategy to sow fear and uncertainty. By targeting young couples in secluded locations, he created an atmosphere of vulnerability, a sense that no one was safe, that anyone could become his next victim. The randomness, however, was likely an illusion, a carefully crafted facade designed to conceal any personal connections between himself and his victims, any motive that could lead investigators to his door. His communications, filled with ciphers, riddles, and taunting boasts, were not merely the ramblings of a madman, but rather calculated attempts to control the narrative, to keep the authorities off balance, and to insert himself into the public consciousness. He craved attention, reveling in the notoriety, his ego fueled by the headlines and the frantic efforts to decipher his messages. He was, in a sense, conducting a macabre performance, with the public as his unwitting audience, their fear his applause. The Zodiac's ability to evade capture was a testament to his meticulous planning, his understanding of forensic science, and his knack for exploiting the limitations of law enforcement at the time. He wore disguises, chose remote locations for his attacks, and meticulously wiped down crime scenes, leaving behind little to no physical evidence that could definitively link him to the crimes. He was a ghost, a whisper in the wind, his presence felt but never truly grasped, his ability to vanish into thin air a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of even the most seemingly peaceful societies. The Zodiac Killer case, though forever shrouded in the mists of time, has benefited, albeit indirectly, from the remarkable advancements in forensic science that have emerged in the decades since the crimes. DNA technology, a relatively new tool in the fight against crime, has breathed new life into cold cases, providing investigators with a powerful weapon to identify perpetrators and exonerate the wrongly accused. The Zodiac case, with its lack of definitive DNA evidence, remains a frustrating exception, but the possibility of extracting viable DNA profiles from the few remaining pieces of evidence offers a glimmer of hope, a chance, however slim, to finally unmask the killer. Forensic genealogy, a cutting-edge field that combines DNA analysis with traditional genealogical research, has emerged as a game-changer in cold case investigations. By comparing DNA profiles extracted from crime scene evidence to vast online databases containing genetic information from millions of individuals, investigators can potentially identify relatives of the perpetrator, narrowing down the suspect pool and breathing new life into cases that were once considered unsolvable. The Zodiac case, with its limited DNA evidence, presents unique challenges for forensic genealogy, but the possibility of using this technology to finally identify the killer or his descendants remains a tantalizing possibility. The evolution of forensic science, while unable to rewrite the past or undo the horrors inflicted by the Zodiac Killer, offers a glimmer of hope, a chance to bring a measure of closure to one of America's most enduring, unsolved mysteries. The possibility, however slim, that modern technology could unlock the secrets of the past, providing answers to questions that have haunted investigators and the public for decades, is a testament to the power of human ingenuity and the unwavering pursuit of justice, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. The Zodiac case, despite the passage of time and the cunning of its perpetrator, remains an open wound, a chilling reminder of the capacity for evil that lurks within the human heart. But even in the darkest of corners, hope flickers, fueled by the advancements of science, the dedication of investigators, and the enduring belief that even the most elusive of mysteries can be solved. The Zodiac Killer may have vanished into the mists of time, but his legend, much like the pursuit of justice, endures. The Zodiac Killer, despite the brevity of his reign of terror, left an indelible mark on the American psyche, his crimes transcending the boundaries of true crime and seeping into the realm of popular culture. His story, a potent cocktail of mystery, violence, and unanswered questions, has captivated generations, inspiring countless books, films, television shows, and even music, each iteration attempting to unravel the enigma of the Zodiac, to peer into the mind of a killer, and to offer a glimpse behind the mask. The Zodiac's foray into popular culture began almost immediately after his crimes, fueled by the sensationalized headlines, the public's insatiable appetite for details, and the enduring mystery surrounding his identity. True crime authors, sensing a story ripe with intrigue and unanswered questions, flocked to the case, their books dissecting the murders, analyzing the ciphers, and proposing theories ranging from the plausible to the outlandish. Robert Graysmith's meticulously researched book, Zodiac, became a bestseller, its detailed account of the investigation and exploration of potential suspects captivating readers, and serving as the basis for David Fincher's critically acclaimed 2007 film of the same name. The Zodiac's story, with its built-in suspense, its chilling villain, and its unsatisfying lack of resolution, proved to be fertile ground for filmmakers. David Fincher's Zodiac, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Mark Ruffalo, and Robert Downey Jr., captured the obsessive nature of the investigation, the toll it took on those involved, and the enduring frustration of a case that seemed to defy resolution. The film's meticulous attention to detail, its haunting atmosphere, and its exploration of the psychological impact of the case on those who dared to confront it,